to know that that's sick. You don't have to be black to know that that's sick. To do that to a family. It's easy for people to detach from the black community because they don't have to go through what we go through. But when they live where we live and see what we've seen, those are the white people who tend to have a little bit more compassion for our struggle, as the ones who live in our neighborhoods, who've seen what we've seen and been through what we've been through. Those are the ones who specifically know better not to say the N-word, and we don't have to explain to them why it's not okay to say the N-word, because they already know why. Honestly, at this point in 2021, everybody should know exactly why it's not okay to say the N-word, but people are still saying it. And like I said, this goes to show the lack of respect that you guys have for our people. And this needs to be addressed. If you don't want to be accused of being a racist, if you don't want to be treated or seen as a racist, respect our boundaries without all the unnecessary questions. If we say it makes us uncomfortable when you do this, or we don't like when you do that, the only questions you should be asking is, why does it make you uncomfortable? Have I done it before in the past, and when? Those are the type of questions that are I believe appropriate to ask if you're unknowing. But anything other than I respect your wishes, is just flat out, disrespect. And I'm addressing that now. We want you guys to know that, like the black community, we know the difference between the racist and the non-racist, or what we would call the hippies and the Trump supporters. We know the difference. But the question is, what message are you trying to display to us? Are you trying to display that you're a hippie? Are you trying to display that you're a Trump supporter? Are you trying to display that you're a Trump supporter in secret, but you're pretending to be a hippie? Are you trying to portray that you're a hippie in disguise, but you're pretending to be a Trump supporter? Like, what is it exactly that you want to be to the black community, or to any other race of people of color? What is the message that you're trying to portray? Who are you trying to come as? And that's how you're going to be treated. Whether you're coming in disguise or not, the mask will come off at some point. And you'd be surprised how quickly masks come off when people try to come to the black community, because people have been infiltrating the black community for hundreds of years now. We've been dealing with infiltrators for quite some time to be able to spot one when we see them. So, if you're coming in trying to infiltrate, be very careful, because we've had this happen before. Be very careful. And if you send one of us to infiltrate, be careful. That's all I'm going to say. Because we're going to thrive regardless, of whether or not we have consent from really any other race of people. But this video is really kind of, like I said, just to educate you guys on, what the black community finds acceptable and what we don't. We don't like when you guys use the N-word. We don't like when you guys do blackface. We don't like when you guys do slang. We don't like that. And if you're gonna do slang, don't talk in a ghetto fabulous way. If you're gonna talk slang, talk how you normally talk. Don't try to, yeah, girl, and then don't do that. Just say, hey, girl, and then just be yourself. You know what I'm saying? Just don't try to gentrify our culture, or make a mockery out of our our culture. Don't do that. We're not okay with that. Don't wear no afro wig. Don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah, and don't use our terminology in that like condescending, sarcastic way either. Where you guys do the air quotations. Like, for example, like, oh, so you're going to be rolling with your crew, or you're going to be rolling with your road dog. Like, give me a 5 on a backhand slide. And it's like, don't do that. Not even in a professional setting. Don't do that. Please don't. It's like, because you're going to run into one of the black people that's going to keep it real with you, and it's going to go wrong. It's going to be like that Dave Chappelle episode when keeping it real goes wrong. It's like, please don't do that. God, please. I'm sorry, but it's just like, no, like, please. It's like, if you don't want us faking a country accent, don't do that, please. Don't fake slang. Please don't. God, that's so bad. Please don't do that ever again. No, seriously, don't. Is there anything else? Oh, and also stop that Me Too shit. That whole, like, for example, if a black person says, oh, like if a black person says anything positive about their own group of people, do not do that Me Too shit. Don't do that. Like, if somebody's, for example, if I were to say, oh man, black people were so amazing, we made it through so much, and we're only getting better and we're only getting stronger, and then you say, oh, but what about white people? Oh, but what about me? Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. It is nothing wrong with you uplifting your people. It's nothing wrong with you uplifting your people. But it seems to be that the only time you really do that in that particular context, as far as when I'm using that example, the only time you do that is when you're kind of like trying to shut black people up. I'm just gonna keep it real. Like, you can praise your white community. You can say, oh man, white people were so great, we're so awesome, and this and that. It's nothing wrong with y'all doing that. We don't have a problem with that. And honestly, if y'all were to ever do that, which you guys do it without actually saying it, but when you guys do that, nobody else complains. Like, I mean, you would think that we would complain at the fact that most of the celebrities in the media that we see are white. Like, the movies, the television shows, like, the casts are like, if not 100% white, like 90% white. We haven't complained yet. And then, like, yeah, just media, just like the supermodels, the anchormen, damn near everybody's white. 90% of the people who are broadcasted in front of us are white. You don't see us complaining about that, even though we should be complaining about that. You don't see us complaining about that. But anytime, what I've noticed is anytime, and specifically when black people do this, because I notice how you guys really don't do that when other races of people do. Like, when other races of people talk about their culture and their race and their heritage, y'all don't shut them down. But when black people do it, when we say, oh, well, we come from humble beginnings, or we share anything involving African history, you guys have a tendency to like chime in and be like, oh, well, me too. Or, well, what about white people? What about our stuff? And what about us? Stop doing that. Like, I'm speaking up for the black community when I say it's annoying when you guys do that. And it's viewed as racist when you do that. Pretty much everything that I just mentioned, everything that I named, everything I mentioned in this video is perceived as racist when you guys do this. It is. And, if you're a white person, or really any other race of people who feels like they, have any questions as it pertains to like, well, how is, what you mentioned racist? Or if you guys are really asking, like, just to like gain a perspective, I can respect that. Because most people have an issue with admitting that they don't know something anyway. So, if y'all put in the comment section below, like, just like questions that y'all have, like, is this racist? And if it is, then why? I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all, actually. I'm not above answering those questions, but as long as it's coming from a place of integrity, then I'll answer it. But if y'all get disrespectful, then we're gonna have a problem. But I mean, yeah. So doing that, Mr. Me Too stuff, like, stop doing that. When you do that, what you're saying is, okay, well, yeah, that's great and all, black people stuff, all that, yeah, that's great. But let's get back to talking about white people and white culture again. Which I mean, don't even get me started on that. Okay, so excuse me. That's another way that you guys could unintentionally get perceived as racist by doing those things. When you do those things, it just kind of makes it difficult not to see you as racist. It makes it very difficult. Very, very difficult. Okay. So I wanted to talk about white privilege before I end this video. Excuse me. Okay, so white privilege. White privilege is a concept that comes from, I guess, people of color. Like, because I mean, I don't really see white people going around saying white privilege. I think white people, you guys, I think, to be honest, you guys are kind of still unaware of the fact that you guys have white privilege. Understandable, but you guys have it. It's this invisible factor that, it just, everybody can see. Everybody that's of color can see. It's that elephant in the room that, we all notice, but we don't want to talk about. But white privilege, that came about when slavery ended. After the Emancipation Proclamation, white people were automatically given white privilege because of, certain black codes, excuse me, that infringed upon the human rights of people who were of African descent. That comes about. White privilege is a concept that comes from the black codes, really. We probably didn't start using that until the 21st century, maybe. But, that term. But, I mean, it was that elephant in the room, White privilege was that elephant in the room that nobody really wanted to talk about. And now we're talking about it. So you guys, white people, you have had white privilege, ever since slavery ended. And before that, you've had white privilege ever since you guys started kind of not civilizing, but when you guys started colonizing the entire planet, that's pretty much when you had white privilege. When colonization started, that's when white privilege started. Okay? So when we say that you guys have white privilege, we're not saying that you're racist. What we're saying is you guys are able to do and get away with things that people of color would never be able to get away with. Okay? That's first and foremost. Number two, you guys are given opportunities that most people of color have to slave for. That's number two. Number three, you guys are a lot of the times born with stability, meaning that day you're born, you already have two parents in the household, probably some siblings, and a dog or a cat, okay, in a nice, comfy house from the day you're born. All the way up until the day you die, you're in a nice, comfy, big house with your family, with a big, happy family. Most of y'all, at least. Excuse me. And, you guys don't have to hear shooting outside your house. You don't have to hear bullets flying or even experience a bullet fly through your window. You've never had to, most of y'all have never had to experience that. Okay? That's white privilege. Most of you guys have had to experience corporate America basically taking over your entire neighborhood and, modifying it however which way they see fit, and not even coming to the community and asking us what changes we would like done. They don't even consider our vote. It doesn't even matter. Like in the hood, in the urban communities, what you guys like to call them, they just come in our communities and do whatever they want. And if you haven't noticed lately, they've been, getting rid of all the parks and the extracurricular activities and making them, corporate businesses, if you haven't noticed this. So what will the kids have to do? Where are the kids going to go play now? They're putting all these funds towards all these damn businesses that we don't need, but they're taking away the parks away from the children of the urban communities. And the parks that they leave behind are the parks that need so badly to be remodeled. And then also another example of white privilege. You guys get free parking at, doctors' offices. We don't. Doctors' offices over in the hood, we got to pay an arm and a leg. But in your neighborhood, it's free as hell. Your neighborhood has smooth pavement that people can drive through safely with signs. The ghetto, the urban community, the hood, has potholes that destroys people's cars that they haven't fixed in 20 years. And signs that point in the wrong direction sometimes. The signs in the urban communities are terrible. When I first moved to Texas, me and my family got lost because the signs were so bad in the urban communities. That's white privilege. And let it sink in, because a lot of times when these concepts are explained to white people, you guys get very, very defensive, and you're refuting. A lot of times you guys do not see the perspective that a lot of us black people are trying to bring. A lot of times when we try to share this stuff with you guys, you get so defensive to the point where it's hard to even tell you guys the truth. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you guys. You need to hear it. There are certain things that you guys say and do that's inappropriate for people of color, and it makes us uncomfortable. Okay? It's just that simple. There's no explanation needed. It just makes us uncomfortable. It's disrespectful towards us. Whether you say it in English or another language, it doesn't matter. It's disrespectful. And, if you don't want your family to be treated like that, if you don't want your friends to be treated like that, or say if you end up having a significant other that is of another race, you wouldn't want them to be treated like that. And if you have kids by this significant other, you're not going to want your kids to experience that. So don't do that to someone else and expect that your family is going to be Gucci. Because if you go around disrespecting other races of people, and then say you have a best friend or a lover that just so happens to be of another race, and then they get disrespected in front of you, that's karma. Your kids, you watching your biracial or interracial or, your mixed children getting treated the same way you used to treat other people. That's karma. It's just certain things that don't need to be explained. And you guys are not dumb people. You guys are very smart people. So, I'm saying, that's all I'm saying. These are basic concepts that any human being would understand. You guys would understand it too if you just take a second to keep in mind that no one is actually accusing you of being racist. We are specifically saying that there are behaviors that make us feel that we are being racially attacked. And if that's not acknowledged, and if the behavior is not changed, then you cannot blame us nor anyone else for perceiving you to be racist. That is the point of me making this video. I feel like I shouldn't have to make a disclaimer, but because of white fragility, I'm doing that. But I'm not gonna be too nice about it, because these are concepts that I feel that white people should understand by now, because this is a human rights thing. This is not just a race. It's human rights. Because if y'all want to play that, oh, I don't see color, or we're all human beings, then why is it that every time somebody addresses a racial issue with you, you get defensive? If that's the case, if we're all human beings, then if this is all a human rights thing and it's not about race, then why is it that every time we come to you to address a racial matter, you get fickle? I'm just gonna keep it real. So, in order to kind of clear up that misunderstanding, it takes empathy. It takes for someone to be like, okay, well, no, I don't understand what it's like to be a black person. No, I don't understand what it's like to be colored. No, I don't. I'm a white person, so I don't know what it's like to not be white. But just based off of, what you're telling me, or what you're experiencing, or what your stories are, I understand how that could cause great stress, and I won't add to it. That's the proper response. That's what lets people of color know, oh, okay, so you're one of the cool white people. Cool. So you're not racist. Okay. You actually have common sense and compassion. Okay, so you're normal then. Versus the wrong response would be, oh, well, don't be so sensitive, and oh, well, if you can say the N-word, I can say it too, and freedom of speech, and oh, white privilege, where I have a cousin that's been twice removed that was born in the hood, and I know a guy that knows a guy that knows a guy that's dated a black girl, and well, let's just say, no, we ain't trying to hear none of that. That's bullshit. I'm just gonna keep it real with you. Don't try none of that. We've heard it all before. I'm just gonna keep it real. We've heard it all before. We're not trying to hear that no more. It's either you take accountability for causing distress, accidentally or intentionally, or just admit that you are racist. I mean, I'm just going. It's no point in being nice about it. It's either you understand what I'm saying and you're agreeing to stop, or you're going to keep going, either consciously acknowledging or verbally acknowledging that you are doing something that is disrespectful towards another group of people because you're disregarding what they're saying. It's really up to you. It's up to you. At the end of the day, we've been talking about this for we, especially the black community, we have been talking about stuff like this for a very long time. And it's really up to you guys on whether or not you want to take the situation seriously. But just don't be surprised when we start taking our money elsewhere, because it's gotten to that point. You guys, the white community, especially here in America, has been very disrespectful towards the black community. Very disrespectful. We black people, we black Americans, we've tolerated so much oppression. And at this point, we're not going to keep explaining this stuff to you guys. It's human rights. And quite frankly, like I said, we know the ones who are really misinformed and don't know better, and then the ones who pretend that they don't know better. We know the difference. We know who you are, and you know who you are. So let me make that clear. If anybody, tries to play dumb, or if anybody tries to act like they don't know what I'm talking about, we'll find out. We'll find out who you are, basically. Because, at this point, Me speaking up for the Black community, we're holding you guys now. Now that I've explained the tension between the Black and white community and how we can see a gray area and meet in between. If there is failure to do so, then basically, within particular individuals that refuse to respect the boundaries of the Black community, you will be brought to the forefront. I'm just letting you know that now, because we're not going to be tolerating any form of prejudice anymore. That those days are over. We're not in the 50s anymore. We're not living in the 50s or the 60s anymore. Those days are over. And, quite frankly, the Black community does not care whether or not you like us. We don't care whether or not you like us, but you will respect us as human beings. And it's a demand. Like, we're not asking questions. We're not begging. And no, you're going to keep your hands off our children, for one. You're going to get the police off our backs. That's number 2. The third part is, when we come to you guys and we say something's disrespectful, whether you said it or you did it, and you refuse to acknowledge it, be prepared for consequences. We Black people will not tolerate your racism anymore. Y'all are hurting the Black community enough in Africa and in other countries, and we're tired of it. I'm not being nice about this anymore. You have 2 choices: respecting people of color or facing the consequences for not respecting people of color. We're not asking you, we're not begging you, we're not negotiating, we're not compromising, we're not complying. It's either you learn to treat us with respect or deal with the consequences. That's all in all what this video is about. To kind of go over what we as Black people find unacceptable, what we've tolerated for too long, and it's our demands. So, like, equal opportunities, fair pay, no more systematic sabotage. Like, that stuff's gonna have to stop, or there's gonna be consequences, whether it's coming from the Black community or the universe. You choose. But at this point, this is a topic that's non-negotiable. We're not negotiating on whether or not you feel it's worthy to respect us, because we're not asking you to respect us. We're telling you. At this point, we're telling you. I'm just being flat out real. We've put up with racism for too long, and we Black people, we're tired of it. So excuse me if it seems like I'm in a bit of an attitude, if I'm coming off a bit confrontational, but no. No, we're not letting it slide no more. So, aside from that, we know that not all white people are racist. We know that there's good white people out there, and it's just y'all gonna have to start being a little bit more clear on where you stand, honestly, because if you don't want to be judged as a race, if you don't want to be judged, or if you don't want to be unfairly aligned with, your racist peers, either disassociate from them or put them in check, or else you're going to be guilty by association, because it's getting to that. It's gotten to that point. Just like our parents used to tell us when we were younger, a lot of times we're guilty by association. We have to be careful who we hang around. And if you're one of those white people where you're not racist, make sure your friends and family are not racist. Because, like I said, guilty by association. If you don't want to be guilty by association, put your morals before your attachments to people. Shoot, Black people, we got to do it all the time. Sometimes we got to cut off family, just to have a better life. So I'm pretty sure that you guys can do it off of just a simple principle that race does not determine the level of respect you give someone, but their character. That's it. This video was not to attack anyone specifically. And don't take what I'm saying personal. Just let it sink in. Deuces.